church, white, Christian, nationalism, attendance. Where do you go? What do you do? There are a lot of controversial subjects here. Stay with me. I'm going to explore them. You don't want to miss this.
You can do it. Don't stop. Ed Montgomery. Come on. A new way of thinking. Transform your mind. Straight from the vine. Fresh new wine.
Hello, welcome to Fresh New Wine. I am your host, Ed Montgomery, aka Dr. Ed. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our program, welcome to our platform. And what we're going to do today, I got a major question for you. So make sure you hit that like button now so I don't have to go into it later. Hit it, click it. Those of you that are just watching, and just click that like button right where you are. Also share this with some of your friends. Make sure you share this with people that you like, because a lot of times people don't want to clutter up all their sites, the way they do. But if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Let me know that you are there. And comments if you're living in the city of Houston, Texas, or if you're living in a city outside of Houston, just click the button. Let me know what city. State outside of Texas, let me know what state. Out of the country, let me know where you are. I know we've got people all over this country, statewide, and I also know we get a lot of people, Australia, I believe, service, army bases, military bases, England, Britain, we get places from there. Africa, we get calls and texts from all these different places. So let me know what your comments where you are. Now, I have got a question. This may be a little controversial. Well, actually, it's a lot, because I don't hear people asking this question often. And maybe it's something people should not ask, but the way our world is going right now, I think I'm just curious. There's something I want to know. Now, I'm not about to go on a rant about anything like this, but I got some questions. How many of you attend what we would call PWCs? Now, that would be predominantly white churches. And most of all, how many of you would be predominantly white churches that are led by white pastors? Now, please understand, when I start using the term white and black, of course, when I say white pastors, I'm starting off with the color or the tone, because actually it's not black and white. We are basically brown, and you move from a variation of brown all the way up to eggshell, vanilla, light and pink and peach, all those, and you can move all into beige and tan and chocolate and mocha and deep dark chocolate and rich dark ebony, all these different kind of colors and everything. The richness of that. Whiteness to me is a way of thinking, a way of perceived privilege. Blackness is in response to this kind of thing that has also built a culture based on people who say, we don't want you anywhere near us. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, if you go into a particular church and where the pastor is light skinned, white skinned, or you go into a church where the pastor is black skinned, people would consider that church black church. The other church, they consider it as the church. Oh, that's just a church. But the other church is always a black church. Where'd you went? I went to that black church down the street. I went to that other church. Now they're going to say white church, because I got a question I want to ask. We see churches on television. We see those cameras when they scan those audiences. It's not as many as it used to be. But You still see a number of black people in those audiences while the pastor is preaching. And I got a question. How many of you still attend or have attended recently what you call a predominantly white church? I'm curious about that because there are some things that are going on and some things that have recently hit my mind. Now, let me throw some at you. In light of all the talk about racism and things that are going on and MAGA, we understand that 81% of the Republican or evangelicals, or what we call white evangelicals, church people, voted for Donald Trump. It was down around 76, 77%. But just even in this last election, it is up to 81%. And secondly, evangelicals still support him. At least 81% still support Donald Trump and what you call the MAGA agenda. We're now beginning to see that all Republicans are not necessarily MAGA Republicans, but Republicans are being controlled or overshadowed by MAGA Republicans or by MAGAs. MAGA does not necessarily mean you got to be a Republican. I'm saying you can be what you call a MAGA progressive or whatever. So you're in churches where that pastor has done several things and says we need to vote for Donald Trump. Bam, people clapping, yay. And there are black people that are sitting there. I'm wondering what's going through your mind. Take a moment, comment. If you are a member, a part of a PWC, a predominantly or a white church, why are you still there? I want to know. Secondly, I want to know why, if you have children, if you are a couple or a single black woman and you have a child, is your child in that youth ministry, which I presume that you do send them over to the youth ministry. We're finding out that those who are dealing with more MAGA tendencies in their churches don't even deal with like Black History Months or even talk about Black history. So you will never get any of that in church. If you go to a black church, you're going to get it. You might get it every Sunday a little bit, but you're going to get Black History Month. But you're not going to get that in a predominantly white church. Are you all right with your child sitting in a church, a youth church, where your child will never hear about the impact of black people in that spiritual setting? Now, I can understand your mind not having to hear that. But I want you to imagine your child is not getting it in school because they're erasing it there. They're taking the books out there, but also they're not getting in church because many of these churches are saying, well, you know, we don't want to talk about things like slavery, especially in the church and everything, because it makes our children feel bad. It gives them a guilt complex. Well, what about the achievement of black people? Well, they can get that at home. So, hey, if you're fine with it, I'm not fine with it, but I'm asking you, does that bother you that that's happening? Now, we're also seeing churches, and these are some of your new, what we call hot and popping churches. And the pastor is not necessarily one of the old evangelicals, but he's more of a younger guy. And who knows, maybe his wife, maybe he married a wife of another culture, of another race or whatever. Or maybe he also has children who have married someone of another race or another culture, and you're looking at the family. The family looks very nice and blended, and the church was maybe like 80 or 90% white, 10% black or other, but now it's moved down to 70 and 60% white and constantly going down because they will go down, and maybe 40% black and other cultures. And you're saying, hey, I'm in this nice multicultural church, which is not going to continue to stay that way. Many of them now have moved into where it's predominantly more cultural, other cultures, less white, and the pastor is still white. But you never hear about black issues across the pulpit, or Latino issues for that fact, across the pulpit. Maybe you feel that's not a place for it. What do you think? Do you think that maybe church is not a place we should talk about black issues or racial issues or racial thoughts? What about this whole thing about white Christian nationalism? Listen to the phrase, white Christian nationalism. That word Christian is saying something. What people believe. Now that they got the word Christian in this thing, you're saying, well, that's just political. Well, no, they brought the spirit or spiritual aspect of things in there. Another point is you're a black man and you've got black children, quite possibly a black wife. Maybe whatever reason is going on there, whatever is happening there, you've got to make a decision. And that decision is what's going on. All right? I don't know. I got a beeping and I think people, what's going on? We don't have to leave the building, do we? Are you playing with the buttons?
We're coming right back.
You're playing with the buttons. I'll be right back. They're playing with the buttons. I'll be right back. I know I'm not supposed to be interrupting right here, but remember, myalc.org. That's myalc.org. And you can also give at 713-742-2035. You can use your text to give or use your app. If you're on the app, you can go right to that donate button and it won't change anything. You say, why in the world would you break my concentration? I'm sorry. But I wanted you to remember, because you know what? Just like there's a break in here, there's also going to be a breakthrough in your life. I believe that. Now, let's go back. Okay, I'm back. Now, that's one of the miracles about sometimes when we edit these shows, there were some beeps and things that went on. I'll tell you the behind the scenes. There were some beeps that went on with the system, and so it kind of threw me off. But anyway, first of all, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you hit that like button. Hit that button now. Let me know that you're there. Let's run those numbers up. That's those algorithms. It helps me a lot when you do that. And share this with somebody. So who can I share this with? Take a moment right now, share it, and comment if you are. Here's the subject. I'm asking the question: are you a member of a predominantly white church? If so, let me know. If you are, say yes. I don't need you to say no, but if you are, say yes. I'd like to know. Number two, I'd like to ask you, why are you still there? It's not a guilt trip or anything like that. With all of the things that's happening racial-wise in our country, evangelicals and things of that sort, where the high 81% of evangelicals are still supporting a MAGA agenda that wants to see problems with, that wants to see healthcare pushed back and the rates to go up. They don't want everybody to have it. They're literally gutting the Voting Rights Act, all of these things. Without going into all of these things, why are you still there? You have to have a reason. Tell me, is it just that, well, I don't see a problem with white churches or white leadership? These people want you. There's some that are saying, listen, you can't do this. You can't keep doing this MAGA agenda. This Project 2025 is not good. There are many white, there are not, I don't know how many, but there are white churches and pastors who are saying we can't do this. But they are getting a lot of flack. There are a lot of their own people that are pushing back on them and threatening them. I'm asking myself the question, why are you in there? My thinking is that I think we owe them the opportunity to talk to their own people. And many of our black people, especially of our young in that 30 and 40 range who's going to church, need to come back home for a while as we reestablish and understand who we are in a spiritual context. Now, I know why some people left. Well, I'm tired of all the black stuff in the church and everything. I want something different. And we ask, and you think that, I want to hear the word of God from a different perspective. Well, it's going to be important that you understand your history along with a spiritual perspective. Jesus did it. He talked about it with his Judaism. Why are black fathers allowing their young black sons to have their minds spoken to by people who already don't want them to have the rights that they should have? Have we spiritually said, well, you're better at it than at religion than we are? Plus, I don't want my child growing up hearing about black suffering or black, the emotional parts of religion or things of that sort. Have you sat down and talked with somebody about it? Is it just that you like the style of that church? Or are you angry at black churches? Believe me, don't get me wrong. There are things within what we would call black churches, and the reason they're called black churches is because white people are not in them. Have you asked yourself the question, why are there not more white people sitting up under black leadership? Have you asked yourself that question? And I'm quite sure there will be people who will say, people of color who will say, well, it's hard for the white people to hear it because they're not used to the hollering and the screaming. All black churches or predominantly black churches are not hollering and screaming at people. I'm not hollering and screaming at you. You say, well, there shouldn't be any emotion. Why not? There are predominantly white churches, what you call combination churches, white pastors, Pentecostal pastors who scream and holler at their people. But why can't that be translated for them going to a predominantly black church? And what is being said is because they're in the minority and they don't deal well in minority scenarios. I think we're beginning to understand our history now. And when we start looking at our history and becoming aware, or what I would call woke, we're now dealing with predominantly white churches that are saying we should not be woke. I got a question. Why is this happening? And do you plan on staying in that predominantly white church? And if so, tell me why, if you don't mind. I'm just curious. Thank you for joining us. Talk to you next week. Hello, my friends. I'm Ed Montgomery. You know me, Pastor Ed, Dr. Ed. Thank you so much for doing what you do and contributing from your heart. People think giving comes from the pocket. Never has. It comes directly from the heart. In the world that we're living in right now, so many changes. so many things happening that will make us lose our faith. Listen, I've got to teach more than I've ever taught, stay online more than I've ever been online, because it's not just going to be enough to encourage. We're reteaching the faith. That's right, reteaching the faith, because we have to begin to strengthen the teaching so that people who've never heard this gospel like this before can hear it and continue to move on. So when you give, you're pushing me and telling me and challenging me to keep going forward. Take a moment, go to myalc.org. That's myalc.org, myalc.org, and go ahead and click that donate button. It is safe, it is secure, and not only that, but it only takes just a couple of minutes, maybe even a few seconds for those of you that are already signed up. Or if you want to use your phone, wherever you're watching or however you're watching, you can use text to give. And that's 713-742-2035, 713-742-2035. Or you can go old school and you can write a check and send it in to Abundant Life Center or Ed Montgomery. It doesn't go into my pocket, it goes into our ministry. 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for what you already do. I am praying for you, and I'm praying the best over your gift and over the offering. And I pray that abundance will continue to flow in your life in so many different ways. It'll warm your heart. God bless you. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit that subscribe